If you're an event organizer, chances are that driving up event registrations is one of your key priorities. Now, having worked with thousands of events globally, we have come up with a comprehensive framework that puts together the best practices of some of the most successful events in the world into a single blueprint that you can use for your events. My name is Jay Chandar, and I'm the founder of Sarcon. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel for similar content. Let's get started. So, the first thing that we're going to cover is your event website. This is your first impression to prospective attendees, so you got to get it right. Now, you got to cover the basics in terms of covering the when, where, and most importantly, why of your event, right? Make sure the why is compelling for your audience. Now, provide detailed information about the attendee and exhibitor profile at your event so that visitors can envision themselves at the event. You need to create industry-specific sections on the website. For example, trade show needs to have a robust exhibitor section, possibly a product section. For corporate events, you need to highlight case studies. Academic conferences would have an abstract submission area, and you need to make the website aesthetically pleasing, and the user interface needs to be intuitive, right? So make sure you invest in creating an appealing design, and it's important to design it in such a way that prospective attendees are funneled from your website to the registration page. Okay, and one tip that I can give you is if you're just getting started, then instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, you can piggyback on existing templates of top performing events in your industry. So if you use something like, say, Sarcon's website builder, it's a drag and drop builder where we already have a bunch of templates that are based on top performing events in different industries, and you can just build from it. Now, the second part is your registration page. Now, technically, this can be considered as part of your website, but it is critical enough to be addressed separately. So the first aspect of this is the number of questions that you ask as part of the registration flow. It needs to be just right. Too many and you risk drop-offs. And if you ask too few, then you don't have useful data to make sense out of, right? The next would be strategic pricing. So implement early bird offers, create discount codes, share it with industry influencers, right? The next part is retargeting, right? Which is basically showing ads to people who have come on your registration page but have not yet converted, right? So you need to set up this retargeting on your registration page, be it, say, Google Tag or Facebook Pixel, right? And the key over here is that it's cheaper to show ads to people who have already come to your website, and the chances that they will convert to registration are higher, right? So if you have a registration system that lets you add these tags and pixels, this whole setup will probably just take you a few minutes. The next aspect is abandoned carts, right? So if you have used e-commerce in the past, you would know what abandoned cart means, but the basic idea over here is that you have these people who have come to your registration page, they started filling out the form, but they dropped off, right? So now what you need to do is set up campaigns, say email, SMS, WhatsApp, to these people to try and nudge them to convert, right? Similarly, this list can be shared with your telecallers to call these people and check up what it would take to convert them, right? And finally, you need to analyze user behavior, right? Which means you can actually track stuff like heat maps, which is you'll be able to track the behavior of people on your site in terms of what do they actually do, right? Are you seeing that people start registering, they fill out, say, 5 fields, and after that they drop off, right? Or do you see some confusing behavior where they go from page A to B and then back to A and then back to B, right? And then there is some sort of a loop that is there, which would indicate that the UI needs some rework. It's confusing people. It's not intuitive enough, right? So you'll be able to track this as well. And this is something that you should, regularly do, especially if your numbers in terms of registrations are not up there. Now, I'm going to cover outbound marketing next, right? So I'm not going to go into too much detail, but your outbound arsenal needs to include email, SMS, WhatsApp, and telemarketing, right? Now, each of these has a bunch of best practices. If you look at our detailed guide, you'll be able to see some of them, right? But it's important to have most of these. For instance, a lot of organizers just have, say, email and telecalling. They miss out on SMS and WhatsApp. WhatsApp has something like a 98% open rate. So you're leaving a lot on the table by not using that, right? So you can do a deep dive while you refer to the guide on this part. We'll jump to ads next. And your typical mix should consist of LinkedIn, if you have a business audience, Facebook, Google Ads for sure, right? And if you talk about LinkedIn, like I said, if you are running B2B events, business events, then it makes sense. But it's a little more expensive. Facebook ads get used for consumer as well as business events. And Facebook lead gen forms is something that you want to try out to help you with your registration efforts. When it comes to Google Ads, you want to do a mix of search and display. You got to look at it as a funnel, wherein your display ads are driving awareness and your search ads are bottom of the funnel, right? The next part is retargeting and matched audience, right? So retargeting is something we covered earlier, which is basically showing ads to people who have already come to your website. Matched audience is basically uploading a list of your ideal attendee profile to these advertising platforms so that their systems will identify similar people, right? So this is something that we have seen to be quite effective. What you can also do is an exact match on some of these platforms, wherein if you have a large list of people that you're sure you want to invite for your event, right, or get them to convert, you can upload those that exact list and advertise to these people, right? Now, a lot of platforms let you do that, and the big advantage over here is your typical cost for advertising is a fraction of what it would be to generically target people, right? So you'll be paying cents on the dollar when you are trying to advertise like this. The next thing that you want to do is you want to set up the possibility of viral loops, right? So you want to be able to make your event viral, and there are a bunch of ways to do that. One is incentivizing and making social sharing easy. So you would have seen these posts on social media where people say, hey, I'm attending this event. You'll see a really nice looking image with the branding of the event, which says, I'm speaking at this event or I'm attending this event. And the way you go about this is you can use a third-party tool like, say, Snowball or Sarcon's integrated event viralizer, wherein as part of the registration flow, as soon as somebody registers, they can automatically post on their social channels, and you have pre-made templates that makes the sharing that much easier. You can also incentivize referrals, right, wherein you offer discounts or other goodies to people who are able to refer people to your event, and having a affiliate tracking system, right, that lets you track these referrals and reward them accordingly is going to be crucial to making the system work sustainably. The next part is using influencers in your events. We are seeing this used more and more very successfully, right? So there are macro influencers, micro influencers. So you need to identify the right people. Now you can refer to the guide that we have made on this to get more details. But the other aspect is, if you are using influencers, you need a system to track the effectiveness of it. So the affiliate tracking system that I was just talking about earlier will help you do that, right? So if you are using a bunch of influencers, which is what most of these events do, then you want to know which are the influencers that are working well and which aren't. So, so that A, you can reward them, and then you can also decide for your future events on which influencers to stick with. Now, tying all this together, what you also need to do is regularly monitor your performance or numbers. So ideally, you should have a live dashboard that's telling you in real time key metrics, key numbers, right? Say live registrations, website traffic, conversions, the affiliate details, right? All of that, even things like the dropped carts, all of those abandoned carts that, and some of the other details that I had spoken about earlier. You want to be tracking all of that. So you'll be quite surprised that in some of the events, when the organizer works with external marketing agencies, they do not have a live dashboard, right? So the way it works is they're just given an Excel sheet which gives them total registrations, right? And that's very, very limited data, and that's not something that you should be settling for in today's day and age, right? The next part is you need to ensure that your website and registration system are technically robust in that they're able to handle a lot of traffic and especially spikes. What this means is if you receive a lot of traffic, a lot of registrations in a short amount of time, your system should not crash. It should be able to handle it, right? So it's important you work with a system that is scalable, that has worked in events that have a large number of registrations, right? So we've had clients in the past that do large events, and at some point of time, they had a bright idea of trying to create their own registration system. Now, they managed to create it, but what they realized is it works fine during testing, during demos, but when you go to production, when you have, say, your social post doing well, something goes viral, right? Or an influencer is sending you a lot of traffic. At that point of time, your system should not crash, right? But in all these cases, these systems are not able to handle it, right? Which is when they come back to somebody like us to be able to handle that traffic, because if you have managed to succeed with your marketing and you've been able to drive all the traffic, it's a shame if your system cannot handle that traffic, right? So this is the next part that you need to be very careful about. Now, it's also a great idea to integrate your CRM with your event platform, right? So you're basically integrating the work of your sales and marketing teams with your event teams, right? And making sure that data flows seamlessly between both the worlds. And there are some very interesting workflows that some of our clients use, and it probably merits a separate video or guide in itself in terms of the kind of CRM integrations you should be looking at in your events. And finally, you need to make sure that all these people that are registering for your event actually turn up for your event, be it an in-person event or a virtual event, right? So there are a bunch of strategies and tactics for this. Again, this is something that we will cover in a future guide in detail, but your work does not stop with just driving up registrations. You need to make sure that these people turn up for your event. Now, in conclusion, as you can see that to drive up event registrations, you need to do a lot of things. There are a lot of moving parts, right? It's a multifaceted approach. And if you're just getting started, it can seem a little intimidating. But my recommendation is to start small, right? Start with the low-hanging fruits, gradually layer more sophisticated tactics, right? But get started, right? And one of the things that you can do is if you pick an event platform that offers most of the things that I spoke about just out of the box, then you save yourself a lot of time and pain trying to integrate and putting together a complete system. That's one. Second is a lot of the players, at least some of the players, should offer you white glove support, right? Which basically means that they will set up this whole thing for you on your behalf, right? Instead of you having to do it from scratch, right? So that would help. So yeah, that's it for today. I would love to know what your experience has been. Did I miss anything? What has been working for you? If you have any questions, do put them in the comments. If you want me to cover something else next time, let me know. And if you want to dig deeper in terms of what I just covered, how to implement it, anything else, just feel free to reach out. Right. Cheers.